Ambassador Jinwoo Park sat in the cold metal chair and watched 47 alien faces stare back at him. The Great Hall of Vega Prime Station stretched above them like a cathedral, but there was no warmth in this place. Only the harsh white, lights, and the weight of judgment. He had been Earth's voice in the galaxy for 12 years. He had shaken hands with creatures that had no hands. He had learned to speak in colors with the crystal beings from Andromeda. He had shared meals with slug-like traders who breathed methane. All of that meant nothing now. The High Counselor of the Thrakari stood up. His blue skin rippled like water as he spoke. "We have made our decision about the human problem." Jinwoo did not move. He had expected this day for months. The signs had been clear. Fewer invitations to trade meetings, delayed responses to Earth's messages, whispered conversations that stopped when humans entered the room. "There is no human problem," Dr. Minji Lee said from beside him. She was Earth's best scientist and had traveled here to help make their case. "We have given more to this galaxy than we have taken." The Veltar delegate's crystal body flashed red. "You have given chaos. Your species builds too fast. You change things too quickly. You make other species nervous." Dr. Lee stood up slowly. Her gray hair was tied back in a simple knot. She wore no fancy clothes like the aliens around her. She looked small and plain, but her voice was strong. "Let me show you what humans have really given." She pressed a button on her tablet. Images filled the air above them. A dying world covered in poisonous clouds, then the same world green and beautiful, with cities full of happy aliens. "We cleaned the air on Kepler 7. 3 million Zephyrians are alive today because of human terraforming." More images appeared. Sick aliens in hospital beds, then the same beings healthy and working. Human medical research stopped the plague that was killing the Arcturus colonies. We saved 2 billion lives in 6 months. The images kept coming. Ships moving faster than ever before through space. Human quantum drives cut travel time in half. Trade between your worlds increased by 300%. Farms on desert worlds growing food. Human agriculture techniques ended hunger on 7 planets. The hall was quiet. Some aliens looked uncomfortable. Others would not meet Dr. Lee's eyes. The Thrakari High Counselor waited for the images to stop. Then he smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "Yes, humans have been useful, but useful tools can become dangerous weapons. Your species spreads too far, too fast. You ask too many questions. You change too many things. We adapt," Dr. Lee said. "That is what humans do." "Exactly," said another alien, one with too many arms. "You adapt. You change. You make others change. This frightens people." Captain Daehyun. Kim received the message while his ship floated near Saturn's rings. He was the head of Earth's defense fleet, but there was nothing to defend against today. Just another routine patrol of the outer system. The message was marked with the highest security codes. He opened it in his private cabin and read it 3 times before he believed what it said. The galaxy wanted humans to leave. Not with war or violence, not with anger or hate. Just leave. Pull back to their own star systems. Stop trading with alien worlds. Stop visiting alien stations. Stop being part of the galactic community. 2 years, he said out loud to his empty cabin. They're giving us 2 years to disappear. The message was polite. It talked about mutual benefits and separate development. It said this would be better for everyone. But Daehyun had been a soldier for 30 years. He could read between the lines, "Leave quietly, or we will make you leave." President Soo-young Choi called an emergency meeting of the Earth Federation Council. Leaders from every human colony gathered in the Great Chamber under the dome of New Geneva. Outside, Earth's blue sky stretched to the horizon. Inside, the mood was dark. "They want us gone," she told the assembly. "Not dead, not destroyed, just gone. Back to our corner of the galaxy where we can't bother anyone." Counselor Ji-won Park from Mars stood up. "What if we say no? What if we fight?" "Then we die," President Choi said simply. 47 species against 1. Their combined fleets outnumber ours 20-1. We might win a battle or two, but we would lose the war. "So we just give up?" asked Counselor Hyemin Seo from the Titan colonies. "We just walk away from everything we built?" Dr. Lee, who had returned from Vega Prime that morning, shook her head. "We don't give up. We choose dignity over destruction. We leave on our terms, not theirs." The vote was taken that evening. Every human world, every colony, every station cast their decision. The result was unanimous. They would comply with the galaxy's request. They would withdraw from all mixed colonies and trade routes. They would close their embassies and recall their diplomats. But they would do it with their heads held high. Over the next 2 years, human ships began their long journey home. They left behind cities they had built on alien worlds. They abandoned research stations where they had made great discoveries. They gave up profitable mining operations and fertile farm worlds. They took only what belonged to them. The infrastructure they had built, the power plants, the water treatment facilities, the transportation networks, they left as gifts for the species that were forcing them out. Some aliens felt guilty watching the humans go. A few Veltar crystals flickered with what might have been sadness. Some Thrakari merchants looked uncomfortable when human trading posts closed forever. But most of the galaxy was relieved. The strange, chaotic, unpredictable humans were finally going away. The galaxy could return to its slow, steady, predictable ways. Ambassador Jin-Woo Park was the last human to leave Vega Prime. He stood in the empty office that had been Earth's embassy for 15 years. The walls were bare now. The furniture was gone. Only dust and memories remained. He picked up his single bag and walked to the door. Then he stopped and turned back one more time. "You will regret this," he said to the empty room, not with anger or hate, just stating a fact. "Someday you will need us again. And when that day comes, remember that you chose this." He turned off the lights and closed the door behind him. His footsteps echoed in the empty hallway as he walked toward the docking bay where the last human ship waited to take him home. The galaxy watched humanity disappear into the void beyond the outer rim. They felt safe at last. They had solved their human problem without firing a shot or shedding a drop of blood. They had no idea what they had just set in motion. 15 years had passed since the last human ship disappeared beyond the galactic rim. The galaxy had settled into a comfortable rhythm without them. Trade flowed smoothly along ancient routes. Diplomatic meetings followed predictable patterns. No one had to worry about humans asking difficult questions or suggesting dangerous changes. Commander Hyunwoo Nam guided his ship through the empty space at the edge of human territory. His corvette was sleek and fast, built entirely with human technology. No alien parts, no borrowed designs. Everything on this ship came from human minds and human hands. His sensors showed nothing but empty space ahead. The invisible line that separated human space from the galaxy was as real as any wall. For 15 years, no alien ship had crossed into human territory. No human ship had crossed out. "Still quiet out there, Commander," his sensor operator reported. "Good," Hyunwoo said. He had been patrolling this border for 8 years. In all that time, he had seen exactly 0 alien contacts. The galaxy was keeping its word. They stayed away from humans, just like they wanted. But Hyunwoo wondered sometimes what was happening on the other side of that invisible wall. Were the aliens happy with their choice? Did they ever think about what they had lost? On Earth, engineer Youngji Seo worked 16 hours a day in a laboratory buried deep under the Rocky Mountains. The Prometheus project had been humanity's biggest secret for 12 years. While the galaxy forgot about humans, humans had been very busy remembering everything they learned from aliens. "Show me the quantum drive again," she told her assistant, Min-hyuk An. The holographic display showed the engine that had once powered human ships through galactic space. It was based on Thrakari designs, improved by human engineering. But now they were building something completely new. "The original drive could push a ship at factor 12, Min-hyuk said, pointing to the display. "Our new design should reach factor 20, maybe 25. Youngji smiled. It was not a nice smile. "The aliens gave us the keys to their technology, then told us to go away. They forgot one important thing about humans." "What's that?" "We learn fast, and we remember everything." The new drive used principles that no alien species had ever discovered. It was purely human science, built from human understanding of how space and time really worked. When the first test ship had jumped from Earth to Alpha Centauri in 3 seconds instead of 3 hours, the entire project team had cheered. Philosopher Sun-hee Bae published her latest book on a quiet Tuesday morning. The Gift of Solitude became the most read work in human space within a week. People passed copies from ship to ship, colony to colony. In her book, she wrote about the blessing of being alone. For the first time in human history, their species was united. No alien politics to worry about. No need to compromise their values to fit in with galactic society. No pressure to slow down their progress to make other species comfortable. "Isolation has made us stronger," she wrote. "We no longer have to explain ourselves to beings who fear our nature. We no longer have to pretend to be something we are not. We can simply be human." Her words spread through human space like fire. People began to see their exile not as punishment but as freedom. The galaxy had done them a favor without meaning to. Admiral Jaewon stood on the observation deck of the newest human shipyard and watched the construction below. Hundreds of ships were taking shape in the zero-gravity factories. These were not like the old ships that humans had used during their galactic years. Those ships had been compromises. Human engines with alien navigation systems, human weapons with alien targeting computers, human hulls designed to carry alien passengers and cargo. These new ships were different. They were built by humans, for humans, using human ideas about how ships should work. They were faster, stronger, and smarter than anything the galaxy had ever seen. "How many will be ready by next year?" he asked his chief engineer. 200 heavy cruisers, 500 destroyers, and about 1,000 smaller vessels, came the reply. "All using the new quantum drives and human-designed AI systems." Jaewon nodded. The galaxy thought humans had vanished into the void. They had no idea that humanity was building the most advanced fleet in known space, but the reports from beyond the border were starting to worry him. The automated spy probes that humans had left behind sent back information every few months. The news was not good for the galaxy that had exiled them. The Veltar colonies were struggling. Their beautiful crystal cities were starting to crack and fade. The terraforming systems that humans had built were breaking down, and the crystal beings did not know how to fix them. Their crops were failing. Their population was dropping. The Thrakari mining operations were even worse off. Production had fallen by half in the past 5 years. The equipment that humans had designed required regular maintenance that the blue-skinned aliens could not provide. Several mines had been abandoned completely. Trade disputes were breaking out all over the galaxy. When humans had been part of the galactic community, they had often served as neutral mediators. Their logical approach and fair dealing had solved thousands of conflicts. Without them, old grievances were turning into new wars. Dr. Wonho Jang read the latest intelligence reports with growing concern. He had been Earth's chief analyst during the galactic years, and now he tracked the slow decline of the civilization that had rejected humanity. "It's getting worse," he told his team. "The Rigel sector is seeing armed conflicts between 3 different species. The Vegan trade routes are almost empty because nobody trusts anybody else, and there are rumors of something stirring in the galactic core." His assistant, a young woman named Sumi Kim, looked up from her datapad. "What kind of something?" "Unknown. But several deep space monitoring stations have gone dark in the past year. No distress calls, no wreckage. They just stopped transmitting." Wonho had seen patterns like this before. Something was moving in the dark spaces between the stars. Something that the galaxy's peaceful, predictable civilizations were not prepared to handle. President Shongyun Ko received the first official communication from galactic space in 15 years on a cold winter morning. The message had come through the emergency quantum channel that was supposed to be used only for galaxy-wide disasters. He read it 3 times before calling his advisors. "They want our help," he told the emergency council session. "Not directly. They're too proud for that. But they're asking for technical consultation about mutual threats." "What kind of threats?" asked Admiral O. "They don't say. But reading between the lines, I think something big is happening, something they can't handle alone." The council debated for hours. Some wanted to help immediately. Others said the galaxy had made its choice and should live with the consequences. A few suggested using this as a chance to negotiate better terms for humanity's return. In the end, they chose the dignified path. Ambassador Hyejin Park, Jinwoo's daughter who had taken over her father's role, drafted the response. It was polite, but firm. The Earth Federation appreciates the Galactic Council's communication. However, as the Council noted during our departure, separation is mutually beneficial. We remain focused on our own systems and wish the Council well in addressing their challenges. The message was sent through the same emergency channel. Then humanity returned to its work, preparing for whatever was coming. Because something was definitely coming. The spy probes were reporting more dark zones in space, more silent monitoring stations, more ships that set out on routine missions and never returned. The galaxy had wanted humans to disappear. Now something else was making parts of the galaxy disappear too. And this time, there were no humans around to help figure out what was going wrong. 25 years after humanity's quiet departure, the galaxy faced something it had never seen before. In the deepest part of space, where ancient stars died slow deaths, machines older than civilization had awakened from their long sleep. Hi. Counselor Rixthaler of the Thrakari sat in his office and stared at the reports scattered across his desk. Each one told the same impossible story. Entire star systems were going dark, not destroyed by war or natural disaster, but simply consumed. The beings responsible called themselves the Devourers, though no one knew if that was their real name or just what the few survivors called them. They appeared as vast mechanical constructs that could reshape matter at the atomic level. They would arrive in a system, dismantle everything from planets to asteroids, and convert the raw materials into more of themselves. Then they would move. On to the next system, sir. His aide spoke quietly from the doorway. The latest reports from the outer colonies. Ricksthaler looked up. His blue skin had lost much of its luster over the past few years. The stress of leadership during this crisis was aging him rapidly. How many this time? 3 systems. The Deneb colony, the mining stations at Wolf 359, and the research outpost at Barnard Star. All gone. No survivors, no wreckage. Just empty space where civilizations used to be. The High Counselor closed his eyes. 30 million beings had lived in those 3 systems. Now there was nothing left but dust and the growing swarm of mechanical predators. He opened his desk drawer and pulled out an old file marked Human Archives, Archaeological Division. Inside were the research papers that Dr. Kyungmin Woo had submitted 30 years ago, back when humans were still part of galactic society. Dr. Woo had studied the ancient ruins found in the galactic core. His papers talked about signs of a previous civilization that had built massive automated systems before disappearing without explanation. He had warned that these systems might still be active, waiting for the right conditions to wake up. The Galactic Council had filed his reports and forgotten about them. After all, they were just theories from a human scientist who asked too many uncomfortable questions. Now those theories were eating the galaxy alive. Captain Yunbi Kang guided her deep space research vessel through the outer darkness beyond the galactic rim. Her ship was small and fast, built for long-range scanning and quick escapes. For the past 5 years, she had been mapping the advance of the Devourer swarm. Her latest data was terrifying. "Computer, display predictive model 7, she said to the ship's AI. The holographic display showed the galaxy as a spiral of lights. Red zones marked where the Devourers had already struck. Yellow zones showed their predicted path. At their current rate of expansion, they would reach the major trade worlds within 50 years. But that assumed they maintained their current pace. The scanners showed they were getting faster. Each system they consumed made them stronger and more efficient. They were learning, adapting, becoming something even more dangerous than when they first awakened. "Computer, calculate time to reach Earth space." The AI processed for several seconds. Based on current expansion patterns, the Devourer swarm will reach the border of human territory in 73.4 years. Yunbi leaned back in her captain's chair. 73 years sounded like a long time, but she knew better. The Devourers were patient. They had waited millions of years to wake up. They could afford to take their time now. She activated the quantum communicator and sent her report back to Earth. The politicians would debate and argue about what to do, but Yunbi already knew the truth that they would eventually have to face. Galaxy was dying, and humanity was next. Dr. Wanho Jiang had aged gracefully over the past 25 years, but the crisis reports were adding new lines to his face every day. His analysis team worked around the clock, studying every piece of data they could gather about the Devourer threat. "Show me the combat reports again," he told his assistant Borum. the holographic display filled with images of galactic fleet engagements, massive alien battleships firing their most powerful weapons at the mechanical constructs. For a moment, it looked like they were winning. The Devourers took damage. Some were even destroyed. Then the remaining machines simply absorbed the wreckage of their fallen units and became stronger. They analyzed the weapons used against them and developed countermeasures. Within hours, the same weapons that had worked before became useless. "They learn from every attack," Wanho muttered. "Every battle makes them smarter." "Sir," Borum said quietly, "there's something else. We've been analyzing the classified files that humans left behind when we withdrew from galactic space." "What kind of files?" "Weapons research. Specifically, theoretical weapons designed to combat self-replicating artificial intelligence." Wanho sat up straighter. During their years in galactic space, human scientists had studied every kind of threat they could imagine. They had developed contingency plans for situations that most species never considered. "Show me." The files were marked with the highest security classifications. They detailed weapons that attacked the networking systems that connected AI units, disruption fields that could scramble electronic consciousness, quantum viruses designed to spread through artificial minds like biological diseases. "My God," Wanho whispered. "The humans saw this coming." "Not exactly this," Borum corrected. "But they knew that someday, someone would have to fight a war against machines, so they prepared for it." President Shungyun Ko received the galaxy's second official message on a day when autumn leaves were falling outside his office window. This time, the communication came through every available channel: emergency quantum burst, diplomatic frequencies, even old-fashioned radio signals. The message was no longer polite. High Counselor Rix Thaler appeared on the main screen, looking haggard and desperate. Behind him, other alien leaders crowded around the transmission station. "People of Earth," he began, and his voice cracked with strain. "The Galactic Council formally apologizes for our treatment of humanity during the withdrawal crisis. We were wrong to ask you to leave. We were wrong to fear your innovations and your questions. We need your help." The message went on for 20 minutes. It detailed the Devourer threat, the failed military responses, and the growing desperation of the galactic community. It offered humanity full reinstatement in the Council, with expanded rights and privileges. It offered them everything they had been denied 25 years ago. President Ko watched the message with his senior advisors. When it ended, the room was quiet for a long time. "Well," said Admiral O finally, "that's not what I expected to hear today." "They want us back," said Dr. Jang. "They need our weapons research, our adaptive thinking, our willingness to try dangerous solutions." "And if we say yes?" asked Ambassador Hyejin Park. "What then?" "We save them from the Devourers, and in 50 years they decide we're too dangerous." "Again?" Ko stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the leaves continued to fall. Earth had grown peaceful during its isolation. The 100 human worlds were prosperous and happy. Their technology had advanced beyond anything the galaxy possessed. They could help. The theoretical weapons in their archives might be the key to stopping the Devourers. Human adaptability and innovation could find solutions that the galaxy's rigid thinking could not. But they had been burned before. "Draft a response," Ko told Ambassador Park. "Make it polite but clear. We appreciate their apology, but we must decline their offer." "Sir?" Park looked surprised. "We withdrew from galactic affairs because it was, as they said, mutually beneficial. We see no reason to change that arrangement now." But the Devourers will eventually reach our space too, Dr. Jang pointed out. Ko nodded grimly. Yes, they will. And when that happens, we'll deal with them ourselves. On our terms. Using our methods. The response was transmitted that evening. Short, polite, and final. The galaxy would have to face its greatest threat without the species it had been too afraid to trust. 35 years had passed since humanity disappeared into the void beyond the galactic rim. The Devourers had consumed 12 star systems, turning thriving worlds into gray dust and empty space. Refugee fleets filled the space lanes, carrying the survivors of dead civilizations toward whatever safety they could find. Dr. Jisoo Lim stood before the massive display screens in Earth's Strategic Command Center. The screens showed the galaxy in real time, with red zones marking Devourer-controlled space and yellow zones showing their predicted expansion paths. The red was spreading like a cancer across the spiral arms. Computer, show me the learning curve analysis, she said. New data filled the screens, charts and graphs that told a story of mechanical evolution happening at frightening speed. The Devourers were not just consuming matter to build more of themselves. They were studying every battle, every weapon used against them, every tactic. Their enemies employed. They're getting smarter, she told the assembled military leaders. Each engagement teaches them something new. The quantum torpedo that destroyed 50 of them last month? Useless now. They've adapted. The plasma cannon arrays that held them back for 3 weeks? They figured out how to absorb and redirect the energy. General Taehyung Lee, the grizzled commander of Earth's ground forces, shook his head. How do you fight an enemy that learns faster than you can develop new weapons? You don't, Dr. Lim said simply. Not with conventional thinking. The galaxy is trying to fight the Devourers like they're just another hostile species, but they're not. They're something entirely different. They're a self-improving artificial intelligence with unlimited resources and no concern for individual survival. She pressed another button, and the display showed projections extending into the future. At their current rate of adaptation and expansion, they'll consume the entire galaxy within 3 centuries, and when they're done out there, the projection continued, showing the red zone extending beyond the galactic rim toward the cluster of yellow stars that represented human space. They'll come for us, General Lee said grimly. Yes, and by then, they'll be even smarter, even stronger. They'll have learned from fighting 47 different species. They'll know every weapon, every tactic, every strategy the galaxy can throw at them. The first direct plea from the galaxy arrived that evening. It came not through official diplomatic channels, but as a desperate emergency broadcast on all frequencies. Emergency Counselor Yithmar of the Veltar, his crystal body flickering with colors that humans had learned meant terror and desperation, spoke directly to the camera. People of Earth, he said, his voice translated by ancient software. I am Yithmar of the Crystal Worlds. I was among those who voted for your departure 35 years ago. I believed you were dangerous. I believed the galaxy would be safer without you. His crystal form flashed deep purple, which meant shame. I was wrong. My world is dying. The Devourers have surrounded our system. Our beautiful crystal forests are being harvested like crops. Our cities are being broken down into raw materials. My people are fleeing in whatever ships can still fly. The broadcast showed images of Veltar refugee ships, their crystal hulls cracked and bleeding light into space. Families of crystal beings huddled in cargo holds, their inner light dim with fear. We know we have no right to ask for your help, Yithmar continued. We cast you out when you offered us friendship. We silenced you when you asked questions we did not want to hear. But please, if there is any mercy left in your hearts, any forgiveness for our blindness, help us. The broadcast ended with coordinates for the Veltar homeworld and a final desperate plea. The children are dying. Please. Admiral Jihu Cha presented humanity's military capabilities to President Ko and the Emergency Council. The numbers were staggering. During their 40 years of isolation, humans had built the most advanced fleet in known space. We have 12,000 ships of various classes, he reported, all using quantum drive technology that's at least 50 years ahead of anything the galaxy possesses. Our weapons are based on principles that the Devourers have never encountered. He activated the holographic display, showing sleek human warships that bore no resemblance to the hybrid designs of the Galactic era. These were purely human creations, built according to human ideas about space combat. The quantum disruption cannons can theoretically interfere with the networking systems that connect Devourer units. If we're right, we can break their ability to share information and coordinate attacks. Theoretically, President Ko emphasized. Yes, sir. We won't know for sure until we test them in actual combat. Ko studied the fleet projections. Humanity had the tools to fight the Devourers. Their weapons were designed specifically for this kind of enemy. Their ships were fast enough to strike and retreat before the machines could adapt. Their tactics were flexible enough to stay ahead of artificial intelligence that learned from every encounter. But deploying those weapons meant abandoning the safety of human space. It meant risking everything to save the same species that had rejected them decades ago. Counselor Borum Han, Earth's senior diplomat, received the galaxy's final official communication 2 days later. It came through every available channel simultaneously, filling human space with desperate voices, speaking in dozens of alien languages. The message was no longer a request. It was barely coherent pleading. High Counselor Rixthaler appeared on screen, but he was no longer the proud leader who had delivered humanity's exile order 40 years ago. His blue skin was pale and mottled with stress marks. His eyes held the hollow look of someone who had seen too much death. Humans, he said, and his voice broke. We are dying. The Devourers have taken 18 systems in the past year. Billions are dead. Entire species are extinct. We have thrown everything we have at them. And they just keep coming. Behind him, other alien leaders stood in the ruins of what had once been the Great Hall of Vega Prime. The station showed signs of battle damage, scorch marks on the walls. Emergency lighting flickering overhead. We offer you anything, Rixthaler continued. Full membership in the Council. Control of any systems you want. Technology, resources, anything we have left to give. Just please, help us survive this. Camera panned across the assembled alien leaders. Many of them had been present when humanity was asked to leave. Now they stared at the transmission with the desperate hope of drowning beings reaching for any floating debris. The children are dying, Rixthaler whispered, echoing Yithmar's earlier plea. Help us save the children. Ambassador Songjin Yu crafted humanity's response with surgical precision. Every word was chosen carefully, every sentence balanced between courtesy and finality. When President Isil Chong read the draft, she approved it without changes. The Earth Federation acknowledges the Galactic Council's communication, the message began. We are deeply saddened by the losses your people have suffered and extend our sincere condolences to all affected species. However, we must respectfully decline your request for military assistance. As the Council noted during our withdrawal, 40 years ago, separation between our species was described as mutually beneficial. We have adhered to this arrangement faithfully and see no compelling reason to alter it now. We understand that the current crisis is severe, but we have confidence in the Council's ability to develop appropriate responses using their combined wisdom and resources. We wish you success in your endeavors and hope for a swift resolution to your difficulties. The Earth Federation will continue to focus on the security and prosperity of our own systems, as has been our practice since the Mutual Separation Agreement of 2387. The message was transmitted on all frequencies, in every galactic language. It reached the refugee fleets fleeing from dead worlds. It reached the desperate military commanders throwing their forces against an unstoppable enemy. It reached the families huddled in shelters, waiting for salvation that would never come. The response was silence. President Chang stood at the window of her office, looking out at the peaceful Earth sky. Somewhere beyond those blue heavens, an entire galaxy was dying. They had the power to help. They had weapons that might stop the devourers. They had the knowledge and skill to succeed where others had failed. But they also remembered being told to leave quietly, to disappear, to stop being a problem for species that found them too dangerous and unpredictable. "Ma'am," her aide said, quietly, "the final fleet deployments are ready for your approval." Chang turned from the window. "Which ones?" "The Shadow Fleet protocols, Admiral Song's deep strike forces, the ships with no markings, no identification codes, no official existence." Chang nodded slowly. The galaxy had made its choice 40 years ago. They had chosen fear over friendship, isolation over cooperation. Now they would face the consequences of that choice. But humans would face the devourers too, eventually. And when that time came, they would be ready. "Approved," she said quietly. "Tell Admiral Song that his mission parameters remain unchanged. No contact with galactic forces. No requests for recognition. No acknowledgement of human involvement." "Yes, ma'am. The fleet will deploy within the hour." Chang returned to the window. The devourers would learn what it meant to fight an enemy they had never encountered. They would face weapons designed by minds they had never studied. 40 years after humanity's quiet departure from galactic society, they returned to the stars not as diplomats or traitors, but as silent guardians emerging from the darkness between worlds. Fleet Admiral Dongyun Song stood on the bridge of his flagship as it dropped out of quantum space at the edge of devourer-controlled territory. Around him, 1,000 human ships materialized from the void like ghosts becoming solid. They bore no markings, broadcast no identification signals, and ignored all attempts at communication from the few galactic vessels in the area. "Target analysis complete, Admiral," his tactical officer reported. "The devourers have established a processing facility around the former colony world of New Arcturus. Estimated machine count, 40,000 units." Through the view screen, Admiral Song could see what had once been a beautiful world of blue oceans and green continents. Now, it was a gray sphere surrounded by mechanical constructs the size of cities. They were systematically dismantling the planet, converting its matter into more of themselves. "Begin the attack," he said quietly. Human ships moved with deadly precision through space. Their quantum disruption weapons fired in perfect coordination, sending waves of energy that interfered with the networking systems connecting the devourer units. For the first time in their mechanical existence, the artificial minds found themselves cut off from each other. The effect was immediate and devastating. Devourer units that had operated as a perfect collective suddenly became individual machines, confused and vulnerable. Human ships darted between them like wolves among scattered sheep, destroying construction platforms and processing centers with ruthless efficiency. Captain Ariam Shin commanded the lead squadron, striking at the heart of the Devourer facility. Her ship's AI disruption cannons carved through enemy formations like fire through dry paper. The artificial intelligences, evolved to counter every weapon the galaxy possessed, had never encountered human quantum fracture technology. They can't adapt to what they can't understand, she told her crew as explosions bloomed around them. Hit them fast, hit them hard, and get out before they figure out what we're doing. Her squadron destroyed 3 major processing nodes in under an hour, then vanished back into quantum space before the surviving Devourers could mount any kind of coordinated response. Similar strikes occurred throughout Devourer-controlled space. Human ships appeared without warning, struck with impossible precision, and disappeared before their enemies could react. They rescued refugee fleets from certain death, destroyed harvesting operations that had consumed entire worlds, and shattered the mechanical swarms that had terrorized the galaxy for decades. Dr. Gi-yun Moon coordinated the largest rescue operation in galactic history from his command ship deep in space. His vessels appeared around the dying Veltar homeworld just as the last crystal cities began to crack under Devourer assault. All ships, begin evacuation procedures, he broadcast on secured human frequencies. We have 17 minutes before their reinforcements arrive. Human transport ships, designed specifically for emergency evacuations, swept down to the planet's surface. They gathered up the surviving Veltar families, their belongings, and even samples of their precious crystal forests. The entire operation took 15 minutes. When the Devourers arrived to investigate the disturbance, they found empty space and no trace of the ships that had been there moments before. The rescued Veltar found themselves transported to a lush world in human space that seemed designed specifically for their needs. The atmosphere was perfect for crystal growth. The soil contained all the minerals their forests required. The climate matched their homeworld exactly, as if humans had been preparing for this moment for 40 years. Commander Nayung-jeon led the defense of the Thrakari core worlds when the Devourer swarm finally reached them. Her fleet materialized between the advancing machines and the terrified alien population just as harvesting platforms began their descent toward populated planets. The battle was swift and surgical. Human ships moved through space like dancers, their movements too fast and unpredictable for the Devourers to track. Quantum torpedoes shattered mechanical constructs that had seemed invincible. Disruption fields turned coordinated swarms into confused individual units. When the fighting ended, the Devourer threat to the Thrakari worlds was gone. The blue-skinned aliens tried desperately to contact their saviors, but the human ships had already vanished. All they found were the ashes of destroyed machines and the grateful tears of their own people. The pattern repeated across the galaxy. Wherever the Devourers struck, they encountered resistance they could not adapt to or understand. Mysterious ships with impossible weapons appeared from nowhere, drove back the artificial plague, and disappeared without acknowledgement or explanation. The grateful species tried everything they could think of to make contact with their saviors. They broadcast thanks on every frequency. They left gifts at the sites of battles. They even tried following the quantum signatures left by the strange ships, but their guardians remained silent. Admiral Seo-yeon Kim, oversaw the final assault on the Devourer Command Nexus, a massive artificial construct buried deep in the galactic core where the ancient machines had first awakened. The human fleet that surrounded it was the largest military force ever assembled in known space. All units, this is Admiral Kim, she broadcast to the 1,000 ships under her command. 40 years ago, the galaxy told us we were too dangerous to be trusted. Today we prove them right. All ships, attack pattern Omega. Show these machines what humans do to threats against our neighbors. The battle lasted 3 days and nights. Human ships poured quantum fire into the ancient construct, while Devourer reinforcements arrived from every corner of their territory. It was artificial intelligence against human adaptability, mechanical precision against organic creativity. The humans won. The final explosion could be seen from 100 light-years away as the Devourer Nexus collapsed into quantum fire. With their command structure destroyed and their networking capabilities shattered, the surviving machines became nothing more than scattered debris floating in space. The galaxy was safe. President Yejin-O addressed the Earth Federation Council for the last time before stepping down from office. Her words were broadcast to every human world and colony, but they were meant for the history books rather than immediate action. Today, the threat known as the Devourers has been eliminated, she announced. The galaxy is free to continue its development without fear of artificial predation. Human forces have returned to our territory and will resume their normal activities. She paused, looking directly into the camera. We took no action for glory or recognition. We sought no gratitude or reward. We simply did what needed to be done, as we always have. The galaxy made their choice 40 years ago when they asked us to leave. We respected that choice then, and we respect it now. We remain committed to the separation that was declared mutually beneficial. We wish our galactic neighbors well in their future endeavors. The transmission ended there. No mention of the battles fought or the lives saved. No request for acknowledgement or thanks. Just a simple statement of fact from a species that had saved a galaxy and asked for nothing in return. Ambassador Ji-Ye Park, the third generation of her family to serve as Earth's voice to the galaxy, received the final message from the Galactic Council 3 months later. It was a desperate plea for the unknown guardians to reveal themselves so the galaxy could offer proper recognition and alliance. The Council promised full partnership, unlimited trade agreements, and anything else the mysterious saviors might desire. They spoke of gratitude that would last forever, and friendship that could never be broken. Park read the message twice, then filed it with all the others that had arrived since the Devourer War ended. Hundreds of similar pleas from governments across the galaxy, all seeking the same thing: contact with the beings who had saved them. She never responded to any of them. Humanity had made its choice. They had returned to their corner of the galaxy, to the 100 systems they now called home. Their ships patrolled the borders of human space, but they never ventured beyond the invisible line that separated them from their former neighbors. The galaxy lived, protected by guardians who would never seek recognition for their sacrifice. The species that had once feared human unpredictability now owed their existence to that same chaotic, dangerous, adaptive nature, but they would never know it. In the end, humanity had learned the greatest lesson of all, sometimes the most powerful. Response to rejection is to become so strong that your help is indispensable, and so noble that you never demand acknowledgement for providing it. The galaxy had let humans leave silently 40 years ago. Now humans protected them silently, asking nothing, expecting nothing, but standing ready to defend the neighbors who had never learned to trust them. The stars themselves seemed to whisper humanity's unspoken motto. We remember. We forgive. We protect. We endure. And in the darkness between worlds, human ships continued their eternal patrol, watching over a galaxy that might never understand what it had lost when it chose fear over friendship all those years ago.